guys, meeting up with Joel right now. I got my wife here. He's in the white Dodge. So just yeah,
I'm gonna pull around like this.
Pull around here. We're in Hagerstown. We stopped and got some Starbucks here, and we're gonna pick up the Tremec here. So just pull it, like, don't pull it beside and pull like right straight ahead right here, and we'll pull it right into the back of the car then. A little bit more, right? Yep, right there's good.
We're putting it in the big old RAV4 here. This baby's like a truck.
Perfect. Alright guys, so you can see, we already have a Tremec, we already have a T56 Magnum. That's a sticky shifter. We're finally going to fix that sticky shifter that we've seen over and over again. It's worked now, it's fixed with the bolts, but time for something that's just a little bit smoother, right? Yep. Now the goal is, this new shifter too has a smoother engaging, so right, just going into gear, just shifting in general, so
less effort, way less effort, yeah. Okay. It doesn't have the double fulcrum, so it's easier, a lot less effort to get over.
And I'll show you guys actual pressure difference too. When I make the video here, we'll go over it with a needle gauge and show you guys the actual pressure difference, just to get from first, second, third, fourth, etc. through the gears. All right guys, first thing we're going to do here is remove the interior. If you watch one of my older videos, you'll see this is pretty standard. Shift knob comes off first, obviously. Then you're going to take off this 6-speed shifter panel. Nothing else has to come out for now, which makes this nice. So you just pull that off, lift up on this a little bit, pull up on the back side. Then I like to lift up right here from the boot and pull up. Now you'll have one piece of wiring right here, which is for your center. If you like me and have a cup, if I can get it here. That is for your cup holder if you have a custom cup holder, or it will be used for your ashtray. Next thing you're going to do is take off the 4 bolts. I'm missing the one here because after I bent that up. You want to remove the 4 bolts, and then the shift boot will come off, and then we can take off the shifter. But before we do that, I'm actually going to show you guys a difference of how hard it is to shift through the gears right now with an actual digital torque wrench. Alright guys, one of the big reasons for this upgrade is you no longer need to use a sticky short shifter. If you've used it, it has 2 fulcrum points. You have your rear fulcrum point, and then you have your front. Your front is what actually attaches to the transmission itself. The rear is just an extra one so it can sit back far enough. If you guys have had this, it has been a great shifter for me in a lot of ways. It does have a nice short throw, but the bolts constantly come loose, they constantly rattle. It's just been very troublesome. It tends to leak. It's just problem after problem after problem. For a $500 shifter, it's not exactly ideal. Now, if you already have one, it has worked fine for me, but it's definitely something I've had to babyfy and babysit, I should say. This is what I wanted to show also. It's also quite stiff. So I've got a digital torque reader here. Go ahead and turn this on for you guys. See if I can get it on here. All right guys, if you watch here, digital, if I pull back on it, you'll see it takes around 10, 11 foot-pounds to get that bad boy into gear. We'll push that back up. And again, 10 or 11 foot-pounds to get that bad boy into gear. We don't want it to be that tight. You know, you want it to be as smooth as possible. So what we're going to do then is when I get the other shifter on, I'm going to show you guys how loose or how tight that actually is. All right, so Grady, my buddy here, went ahead and got the 2 bolts out to undo the shifter. You need to do that so we can drop it out. It makes it a little bit easier. So I'll go ahead and take that, Grady. Take the bolt too. And we're good there. Now we need to get underneath, take the drive shaft out, and then we'll drop the trans. All right, guys, so next what we're doing here is taking off the billet guibo. There's 4 bolts you need to take on there using a 5/8 wrench. Once you get those off, you can then pull the drive shaft off. Then after that, we need to take off the billet guibo itself, and then we can start dropping the trans.
All right, guys, so something to keep in mind when you're removing this drive shaft with this big aluminum spacer. Sometimes whenever you're backing these bolts out, the bolt heads will actually hit the body of your universal here. So what you need to do is kind of break it loose after you've loosened all 4, back it out to where you have them loose, and then it'll let you pull them out just the rest of the way.
Yeah, and like you can see here, Grady's got 3 of them out. He's got the one last bolt, and then that'll just slide out. It's just a slip-in yoke at the other end into the T56 Magnum, and then we'll be able to get off the actually billet guibo then. All right, guys, so now we removed all 3 bolts on the guibo. It slides off. There's your billet guibo. Grady's gonna hand it over, and that's it. It's got your nice billet marks on it, and still in great shape. Obviously, it's marked up from being bolted down, but That's it. Now we need to drain all the fluid out of the trans before we drop it out. Technically, I guess we get away with not doing it, but I'd rather dump it all out because I don't think Grady wants it all over him, do you, buddy?
No, I'd rather not.
Now, guys, Grady's breaking the bolt loose here. It just uses a 3/8 drive head, so you just stick a 3/8 in it. And then once you get that out, it should come right out. Now, you guys might want to be careful because it's most likely going to shoot this way. Color's still good. It's not dirty. I mean, it's only got about 4,000 miles on it, so it's not terrible, but it takes about 4.5 quarts, so it takes a good bit of fluid.
All right, guys, so what we're doing right now is we're trying to get the main body bolts out of the transmission housing, and we're gonna prep this to drop this trans. What we did so far is we got the 2 top bolts out. This one here, it's kind of hard to see. I'll try and angle the camera so you can see the top bolt hole. But this top bolt hole, the easiest way we found to gain access and pull this bolt out is if you run a series of extensions. Where'd I lay it?
Right here.
You can put some pretty long extensions and you can pull this through the whole way back to the back of the transmission, right where you have your shifter access. And if you run an extension along the whole top side of the transmission body, then you can get to that one pretty easy. It is kind of painful if you try to do it by just going right where the bolt is located. But with some extensions, you can gain access to that pretty easy. So we're going to finish taking the other 4 out of the bottom side of this, and then we're going to go ahead and drop the trans.
All right, guys, we're taking off the center bolts right now for the actual rubber mount, so go ahead, Grady.
Got a half. There you go. Now we're down.
All right, go ahead and yank that son of a bitch.
You ready?
Careful there. Ready?
I gotta go down more on max, man. You said that trans line's it's got plenty of play in, right?
Yeah, should be able to pull towards you some. Pull back some. Oh, no.
All right, everyone. So we've gotten the tranny down, transmission body's down on the trans jack here, and what we're looking at right now is the hydraulic throwout. So with this setup, what we're going to do, because we're just swapping out the T56 and we already have the Grannas racing bell housing and our clutch and everything, we're just pulling the body back and we're going to set in the direct replacement. What we're going to do is we're going to actually unbolt this hydraulic throwout, and we're going to pull this body back off of the housing and then just roll in our new setup. In the case that you didn't already have this setup or you were already installing a new, what you would want to do is, in order to get adequate pressure on your pressure plates of your clutch, you would want to actually, these have to be set between the pressure plate and the throwout. So what you need to do is you have to measure these and get them set accordingly. Because we already have this setup ready and we know that we have adequate pressure on our pressure plate and it's engaging correctly, we're just going to take the whole body off and then mount it on the new transmission.
Yep, go ahead. Closer. All right, guys, so what we're going to do here next is I just want to kind of go over what the Sicky shifter is versus what we have over here on the new T56 Magnum F. So here's your T56 Magnum. This is a standard Magnum that you can get from anywhere, right? The one issue is with the Supra is the Magnum itself sits too far forward. So Sean, if you come over here closer, What we have to use here is the Sicky shifter, and it extends it back. If you can see here, we have two fulcrum points. Here's the actual fulcrum for the actual Magnum itself, and here's the secondary fulcrum. By having this, it does make for a nice short throw, but you run into a few more fail points. These bolts did tend to come loose. I was able to fix them, and once you do that, you can see I put red marks on. It never came loose again. So that hasn't been a problem. There's a little bit of oil and stuff on it because I dropped some, so that's my fault. But it has been fine, but it is stiff. Like, I can't even move it right now. It is very stiff, unlike the one that comes with the T56 Magnum F is actually a factory setup. So great is here popping off the one end cap here, so this breather tube breathes a little better. But you can see here, we have the standard Tremec shifter on this one. And if you see with the F model, it actually sits back further. So no longer is that needed there. If you, again, look over the Sicky, see how it extends it back? This doesn't need that. The box itself, if you look here, is sitting in the back. And just to give it that little bit extra room, Joel Grannas then modifies this inside the box and gives you this shifter to then work. Pretty simple setup then. I like this a lot better. One, if anything does come loose, there's only a bolt here, and the two on the side. Easy to get to. When those bolts came loose, you had to drop the trans and try to figure your way up there. It wasn't that much fun, but it was something you could do. This is just a lot simpler. Again, this is just shift a lot easier too because there'll be a lot less force. So next thing we need to do is start putting the trans in. After he's done with that, we'll start putting this bad boy back up and in.
So the whole purpose of removing this cap here is this is a release pressure valve for the transmission. And what we need to do is there's an O-ring inside here that we need to pull out so that it will allow the transmission to breathe a little better.
Yeah, guys, this tends to block up a little bit. It's a very small line, and to help it breathe as much as you can, you don't have to fully remove the cap, but there's just like this rubber O-ring in there that causes it to back up. So as soon as we get this off, we'll show you what it is. All right, guys, so we have the T56 Magnum F and then the regular T56 Magnum here. Again, if we stand back here, we should be able to see right off the bat. See how this one's slightly shorter than this one here. Again, this has a Sicky shifter extension. This one doesn't. You can see the box itself sits back. This only takes 4 bolts, where that one actually takes 6 bolts to hold on the shifter. Again, we will no longer need to have an extension like that. It just bolts directly to the top and it works from there. Now again, Joel has already made the modifications inside, and I want to make sure it's clear, you can't just buy the shifter setup. If you want that shifter, you have to buy it from Joel Grannas at Grannas Racing. You're not just going to be able to buy that, that's just how it works. So if you want this setup and you want it to work in your car, get it from Joel. Get it from the guy who's already tested it and done all the work. Now we do have the Sicky setup over here. Just for the shifter alone, it's around $500, not cheap. And again, it's an aftermarket piece. It is nice short throws to it. There's nothing wrong with it. But one thing I did notice, this one bolt here started to come loose again. You can see I put red marks on it after I fixed it last time. This one looks like it came a little loose too. So it was fine, but it could have been better, and that's what this new setup does. So let's go ahead and let's put the new transmission in. Oh, one other thing too. Here's one of the guys signed it who helped me put it in last time, Mike Bolka, Colton. I believe we have someone else is on there too. There's a couple other names I can't even read, but for the people that helped me.
All right, so hey guys, it's Brian Scott again.
Shut up.
We're freaking blowing penis. Anyway, so what we've done here, a good way to start, it's kind of just like an exhaust system. When you get your transmission started in the bell housing and you have your body lined up, we've started 3 trans bolts, and then we also went back to just loose fit your cross member. So I would leave everything loose on your cross member until you start getting the body of the transmission tightened. Then you'll know that everything's sitting nice. But it's an easy way. If you can get everything started, then you can go ahead and get your trans jack out of your road, and it makes it a lot easier.
Alright guys, now that we got the trans mocked up and everything's in, you can see we have the factory shifter set up. See how nice this sits in here now? And then Joel makes this little shifter adapter piece so it sits dead center. So obviously you could have it sit up here and he could have just went that way, but he makes it nice so it actually sits dead center and shifts like it should. Now I'm just going to bolt this last piece down here. Then I'm going to put it back on the torque wrench and show you the difference and how much strength it takes to shift through the gears. Alright guys, so earlier I showed you guys the Sicky shifter and the force it took to get it in. It took around 10-11 foot-pounds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is when you got such a short throw. Now we have the new Grannas shifter in here. Again, this is specific to the T56 Magnum F from Grannas. You can only get this from Grannas Racing. So now we're going to start here and go back into gear. And this reads down as low as 5 foot-pounds. So see if it even... It didn't even read. Let's try that again. Wow, guys. It is that easy. It's not even read. This reads as low as... I think it actually shows 4 foot-pounds, but... it doesn't take any effort. Like, that just shows you guys. It took 10-11 foot-pounds versus next to nothing. Less than 4 foot-pounds now to get in. That's amazing. Like, if I actually take this off here, put this down, like, I don't even have a shifter on it. And it's just buttery. Just so buttery. I really like this setup. It's much simpler than the Sicky setup. I do like the Sicky shifter, though, for how short the throws were. I will admit that, and I did like it for that fact. These are slightly longer, but it feels more like a factory setup, so I do like that. So next thing I gotta do now is put the drive shaft in and the last bit of bolts, and tighten this thing all up, and then we can take it for a drive. Alright guys, so it's me, Ryan, here again. What I wanted to also point out for you guys too, with the Magnum F, it is a little wider in the rear. What I mean by wider, the reverse lockout mechanism is moved further back now, and with the way the tunnel is designed, this actually puts it, as you can see here, up against the body. So what you're going to have to do is, make a little bit of room. I know some of you guys might not want to hear this, but it's not that bad. I used a pry bar actually in between the module here and the body, and pried back. You can see it removes some of the coating. I'm going to spray that here again to make some room here. Or you could take a small hammer or whatever and kind of hit this just to make a little bit of room. I prefer the pry bar method because if you do not do this, unfortunately, the drive shaft will come back here. Move my light here for you guys. If we come back here, the drive shaft will end up hitting on this side, and you don't want that happening, and it'll make this uneven here too, which you don't want. So if you guys go ahead and do that, just to make sure this stays within reason and it's not moving back and forth, and it gives you the space you need here. Again, if you just do a little bit of modifying up there, I shouldn't even call it modifying. Again, just using a little bit of like a pry bar or something in between there, and pry that out, make yourselves a little bit of room, and then you're golden. And after that's all said and done, guys, everything's bolted up. That's all done. Now we can move on to electrical, which this is where it gets kind of neat. This is where I really wanted to show you guys some of the neat new features with being able to use the reverse lockout. If you noticed, I didn't have to cut the spring on this transmission for the reverse lockout, which is very nice because if you guys know, that's one of the issues I've had before. So let me show you the new electrical system that Joel offers for both the regular Magnum and for the new Magnum F. Okay guys, and here's the new Bluetooth setup that Joel offers with his kit. This is going to be replacing the SGI box and the pigtails that usually come in the kit. This is the new setup. This comes with a little Bluetooth module here, which will allow for the reverse lockout, for your speed, your taillights, and everything. So it has everything wired in too, so which you guys don't have to do the wiring like you used to for this stuff. You'll just do the wiring over here. So you have your reverse lockout, you have your speed, and then you have your taillights. Then coming over here, these are the two wires you need to wire in for your taillights. Again, these wires don't matter. It doesn't matter which one goes where when you wire it into the car. Super simple. You've got your ground. Put this up to the battery ground or put it on the block if possible. Power, you can put this right up to the fuse box, or I usually power inside the cars where I prefer. And then you've got 2 signal wires for the speedo. You only need to use one of these wires, whichever one you want to use, doesn't matter, just remember which one you do use. This way we can set it up when we use the Bowler app. This is all done with an app that Bowler has set up. The only other thing you will need to do is put an inline fuse. This will go for the power wire. You're going to use this little inline fuse just in case so you don't destroy the little Bluetooth app. And if it does pop, you can get to it right with this little guy. So pretty easy and simple. So let's go ahead, put this on the transmission, and then I'll show you guys how it looks once it's all attached. So one thing I wanted to show you guys before I show you the final product of like everything hooked up and wired in, here's what I had before was the SGI box. Now this is what I had to use to get my speedo and everything to work. Now this is no longer needed. I had it down in here packed away, and you can see all the wires running to it that I had to cut and splice and do myself. Now here is the power wire. You can see here. Now again, I'm getting it from this white plug right here, the 6-pin white plug. There's only 4 actual pins used on it. It is the black and red wire if you have a manual or an automatic, but the automatic, these plugs would be used. Just so you guys know, these random plugs are here, even in manuals. These are for the automatic transmission though. It is a red and black wire, and I believe it has like maybe a little silver dash on it also, but it's a red and black wire over here to the 6-pin white plug. Only 4 of the pins are used. Again, I'm just trying to reiterate so you guys know. You can use this for power. You don't have to. This is what I'm going to use. You can also run one right up to the battery or to the fuse box. That's up to you. And you can see before I was grounding inside the car, where I'll now no longer be grounding in here, and I'll be grounding directly to the block as it's a better ground. So I'm going to remove all this and then show you guys the rest. All right guys, so I put the downpipe and stuff back on. I was working on the car there and I broke some clamps. So just on the downpipe, so it is going to be loud. I left the interior apart and I left all electrical down below. Just apart for now, just to make sure. Again, there is my switch right there for my 5-volt switch with the little, I guess it's a, what is that, 3 amp switch there, a 3 amp fuse. So see if this fuel pumps everything are okay. It's been a minute since I've started this. It is in neutral. I do like that. Man, that is, I will say, I haven't put a shift knob on it. That is nice. So in neutral, let's see if she starts. Sorry guys, again, it's a farm tractor right now, so I apologize. But she starts up, everything looks good. Now I haven't set up the Bowler app yet, and that is the next thing I need to do. All right guys, before I go over I was showing you all the wiring and stuff, I wanted to go ahead and show you the Bowler app. It's called Bowler Transmissions, so B-O-W-L-E-R Transmissions. That's where you want to go to the App Store and download. It'll give you this little icon then, pull up this. And now right there, it says device not selected. So what you'll need to do is key on the car, and then it'll pull up this little screen. It'll show you like a billion little numbers. Well, let me just show you. Again, so right now, it shows nothing. I'm going to go ahead and put my key the car on, and you'll see this little page pop up here, right? Sorry for the key dinging, but you'll see this, and all you want to do is click the little ID, device selected, okay? Don't hit cancel, don't do anything. Then you got basic setup, reverse lockout, and speedometer. Basic setup, and it'll pull up the car. So you want to pick out your tire diameter. For my car, it's a 26.5-inch tall tire. If you're not sure what size your tire is, look it up online. You can look up your tire size directly there. So you just type in the numbers and it'll tell you. Your final drive ratio for this is your rear end gear ratio. So this would be your rear diff gear ratio. I'm running a 3.76, which is an Aristo or an Auto TT diff. And then pulse count, you don't need to touch. And you go ahead and hit back. Reverse lockout, you don't need to touch. It's already defaulted to anything under 4 miles an hour will allow you to go into reverse gear. Anything above 4 miles an hour, it'll go ahead and put the ball detent back in and make it extremely hard for you to get in reverse. But technically, I guess you could, but it'll make it just like it would be an OEM car. That it will make it damn near impossible for you to do it unless you really forced it in. So what we need to go to next is speedometer. And this is where you guys have to play. This is where I haven't figured out yet. This is what Joel gave me to start with, but I believe this is based off a 3.9 rear end gear ratio. So right now it's a pulse count of 8 and a calibration of 0.100. I don't know if that's true yet, just because I need to go drive it and test it, and I'm going to have to keep playing and playing and playing and playing until I get it spot on. I'm going to use that Racing Channel app, which has a GPS speedo on it, so I can use that versus what the actual dash is showing me and keep adjusting till it's correct. I'm going to get another person in the car, obviously, when I do that, but as of right now, I don't have time to mess with all that. So that's what you need to do inside the app. There is one other tab called the Diagnostic tab. I'm not really going to play with that today or show you guys that, as it's not necessary, but it's something you guys can mess with, and it's something that can show you some live data if you would like. All right, guys, and I wanted to show you how I finalized all the wiring then. So for the actual little Bluetooth module, I use a zip tie here. Now you could use a bolt, but I didn't find anything that would work well because the hole here for the actual trans is way bigger than this here, so it would slop around. So I feel a zip tie is actually the best way of doing this and holds it quite secure. And then next what you need to do here is plug in this is your speed, then you'll plug directly into your reverse lockout, and then you'll need to run one wire up and over the trans that goes the other side for your reverse lights, plug that in, and once you do that then you can move up further here and wire everything in. You can see I've got zip ties galore because I wanted to pack everything up in a way, but you're just going to tap into, like I said, the power and where it was inside the car, and then just do the wiring like you would in a regular T56 Magnum like I had shown in previous posts. It's quite simple. Again, your power is inside, which I showed you. You have your 2 reverse lights right here. You've got a ground which goes directly up to the transmission right there, and then you have the 1 signal wire which you have to splice into this plug right here. Move that off. You splice in it again using either one of the 2 wires. There's a white and purple and a yellow and a purple wire. Either one will work, but you only need to use one of the wires. Once you do that, you're all said and done. All right, guys, then that's it. That is everything. We are done. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, concerns, let me know down in the comments below. Again, big thank you to Grannas Racing. This is his entire setup. You can only get this from him. I know there's other companies out there, but he was the first to do it. He has the best way of doing it, and his support's pretty amazing too. Plus, you have these how-to videos to walk you straight through it. Again, questions, concerns, let me know down in the comments below. If there's anything different you would like to see, please let me know. Thank you guys very much, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.